Hello again. Welcome to Part 5 of our Technology Management Lecture Series. My name is Dennis Donovan, and I will be discussing various topics within internal and external communications. Let's begin this journey, shall we? As you can see here, there are expected learning outcomes. Please ponder them as you view this lecture. Today, information is all around us. It comes in many forms like television broadcasts, online media, text, email, instant messaging, and yes, even sometimes face-to-face conversations. We are overloaded with information on a daily basis in this digital world. It is no wonder it is so difficult for most people to interpret the conveyed message. This is why it is arguably the most important skill for a leader. That means you. We can all learn more on this subject to improve upon our ability to communicate effectively. Since every person and situation is different, the approach to communicating the desired outcome will also vary. For instance, you will not use the same medium such as an email to give a complex message to your employee as you would for an informational message for the entire organization. The translation may get lost, resulting in an incomplete task. So as a leader, the communication strategy is an important tool to get the message across. If you understand the intended audience, you can code your message, aligned to the business strategy, of course, and tailor it to the individual or group in terms they can comprehend and are willing to take action on. Wouldn't it be nice to understand exactly what the boss is asking for the first time? It will help make you more productive, maybe even build a relationship. Maybe your listening skills can help absorb the information provided in this lecture. Huh? So when I think about poor listening, I think about my 6-year-old child. It's the first thing that pops into my mind. Oftentimes I'll ask him to perform a task, but it will go in one ear and out the other. Just like Mom always said, it is probably caused by thinking about something else at the same time of the conversation. Like my child, we're all guilty of it. So how can I improve my listening skills, you ask? Well, it's gonna take practice. For instance, do not interrupt the speaker. It can come off as you don't care about what they have to say. Give your undivided attention. This helps put the speaker at ease. Paraphrasing during the conversation and even giving some head nods will display to the speaker that you're indeed focused and paying attention to what they have to say. Not only do you have to speak to your boss, employees, or colleagues, but maybe you'll have to present your new idea to the vice president of operations that will save the organization lots of money. The first thing you must do is understand the audience. Depending on who they are, their education, their occupations, you will need to tailor the information you are trying to get across to them. I mean, you wouldn't talk slang to an educated group. They may not take you seriously. Ensuring what you are trying to say is clear, another important aspect of speech. A good example given by O'Rourke, found on page 101, states, the chief operating officer stated to a group of employees, this firm will take all measures afforded by the law to seek objectives we have outlined. If I was an employee, I probably wouldn't understand what the CEO meant. If you make the conversation too ambiguous, people can lose the meaning behind what you are trying to get across. Think about the other items, like body language, or backing up your knowledge. What message does it send if you fidget or have no reference or visuals to acknowledge the idea? The more practice, the more confident you will become with unplanned discussions. Sometimes you will be unable to inform a team member using a telephone call or face-to-face, so you must resort to email. It's exactly like writing the college paper that's due in a few days. Now imagine, if you submit your report that is written with grammatical errors, maybe some arguments that are not backed up, no proper references, and filled with slang, how would that be perceived by the teacher? Well, the same goes at your place of employment. Using technical terms with an email addressed to a manager may not get your point across if it's first not explained. Would the boss take you seriously if you misspelled his name? Again, the idea is to tailor the message towards the audience so they can understand it. Of course, without making it too long so you don't lose the individual's interests. Remember, people are busy and they don't want to take 10 minutes to decipher your message. Today, technology is probably the fastest way to communicate with one another. You can even get news reports across the globe in a blink of an eye. Schallenberger from Paragraph 8 cited a study where students showed they spent about 24% of their time listening to others, face-to-face or in groups. Now that's down from 53% in 1980. That doesn't seem so far-fetched. While it has its benefits, there are some potential pitfalls people can fall into with technology. During net meetings at work, there are often employees dialed into the meeting from home. When asked about a particular subject, they may not answer. Is it because they were not listening? Well, probably, since they may have been distracted or preoccupied with another task. Maybe the conference call was not required and could have been solved with a simple email. Wait, more email? Yes, the dreaded email. It's the bane of my existence. I can personally tell you that I get approximately 140 emails a day. Most items, the person is just down the hall. Wouldn't it be more productive to engage in a conversation so both parties can listen and understand the exact request based on active listening skills? Armed with some knowledge of how easy information from one person to another can get lost, just imagine if there was a cultural barrier added to the situation. It may get pretty confusing. Think about it. If you don't always see eye to eye with your parents, it's because of the age gap. They have different values than you, so you can see things differently. The same goes when interacting with someone in the company from a different country. Where they lived, religion, ideas, values, yes, language too, all impact someone's culture. If we shake their hand firmly, as we are taught in the United States, it may actually be considered a sign of aggression in some cultures. The ideal thing to do is to research the culture prior to engaging. This way you don't blow that multi-million-dollar deal. Today's companies are pretty diverse, so conflict is bound to happen on occasion. Because everyone is different, people deal with it in different ways. Some may avoid because the atmosphere is tense and you need to create some space. Others find a need to accommodate, and it also can be used to preserve the relationship with the other party. Now, competing, this can be used for decisive action. As you can see, depending on the situation, one may be used over the other, but conflict is not all that bad. It can lead up to personal growth and even stronger relationships. If someone is wrong and you call them out on it, you must feel comfortable enough to do so. Think of it as a learning opportunity. Well, that wraps it up for this week, but I invite you to review the following questions. It may help to reinforce the learning outcomes for this lecture. It is okay to go back and review the topics contained in this video before answering the questions. I encourage you to view the supplemental material outlined in this lecture. If you find a particular subject exciting, please feel free to do some more research on your own. Thank you. See you next week when we take a closer look at leadership.